Hi, welcome to DM Talk. This is Henry Knight, and tonight we have a lot of topics tonight. I went over them carefully. There is 4 topics tonight. Normally I do 3, maybe 2, but I go on for at least an hour on that topic, and we go from there. But I want to remind you that next Saturday, August 17th, episode 6 of The Light, Drow City. It's a story arc that will encompass the Drows. The Drows, their lifestyle, and so forth. Their dealings with the players, and I have a 6-part story arc, Drow City, 8 p.m. Central, next Saturday. Be there, guys. We have one hell of a story. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about topic number 1, player and their roles. Well, if you're not sure what to play in a Dungeons & Dragons game, how do you, as a DM, handle that situation? Should you just turn around and just let any player just pick whatever? You can say, okay, guys, for session 0, we're going to go over all these classes, all these roles for you. Are you going to play evil, an evil character? Is your campaign what it entails? You have to deliver so much information to that player. You can't just say, we're going to just role play, guys, fantasy world, an episode, a one-shot of Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to play the game, and all of you are going to love it, and you're going to play a good guy. What if the party wants to play an evil campaign? What if the party wants to play a bunch of goblins? So it's your job as a GM, game master, DM, dungeon master, whatever it is, referee, storyteller, is to talk to your party in session 0 and say, guys, here are the roles. Here's what my campaign is about. Overall, my campaign is about adventure, high fantasy, magic. There you go. You're giving the players some fuel, because if they don't have that, then there's no game. It's that simple. So for you to just say, hey, just pick whatever, it's not going to work. You're going to have to talk to your players what you want to play, what class you want to play, what alignment you want, if you're using alignment, what class you want to play, what race you're going to play. There are a dozen races, human, tiefling, elf, drow, orc, whatever. There is a dozen area Kokra. There are so many races in the game that you're going to have to just say, hey, here you go, take a look at it, and go over with your players. The more you go over with your players in the game, what the game will have, what it encompasses, what is your game about. If it's high fantasy, then you're looking at a fighter, a mage, stuff like that. But you can use magic, but is that player going to be happy with a fighter? Is that player going to be happy with a cleric? Is that player going to be happy with a ranger? Those are the things you have to really talk about. Don't just have them say, I'm going to pick a fighter because it's good. Well, they may not like a fighter. But if you talk it over with your guys and say, hey guys, what do you want? What do you want in the game? What do you want to play? Oh, let's see. I want to play a mage. What kind of mage? You got a wizard, a sorcerer? What do you want to play? What subclass? That type of thing. Those are the things you really have to bring up in session 0. Bring up everything that you want in your campaign, and what they want as a player. What are their roles? What am I going to be in your game? Am I going to be the evil party? Am I going to be the good guys? Am I going to be a guard? Am I going to be somebody like a paladin, a hero? Am I going to be that type? Am I going to be a guard in somebody's town? What role do they have? What role can they choose? Those are the things that you have to communicate with those folks in the game. And you got to communicate with everybody in your party, because if they don't communicate and you don't communicate, there is nothing. You can turn around and say, well, how am I going to manage to run a game if everybody doesn't know what role they have? What are they going to do? Well, we're going to fight the fight. What are we fighting? What are we fighting for? In the Light campaign, which is my campaign, season 2, the players are orphans. They found treasure, they found many things, and they found clues leading to the events in their town. They want to, it's an adventure. It's more of a dungeon crawl, a more grounded story, instead of high fantasy and going out and just, saving the world like I did in season 1. But this, you have to convey to your players, because if you don't convey that, there's nothing that in the game they're going to do, because your players are going to be confused. They're going to be saying, well, Henry, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know if that's right for me. So you're going to have to really convey that. You're going to have to really show them the way. Show them the proper way to play the character. Say, hey, you can play a paladin, but this is what I'm going to allow in the game. I'm going to allow, alignments are all open, but in the Light campaign, in my campaign, they're all orphans. There's no backstabbing each other. You guys are tight. You guys know each other. You grew up together. You won't backstab each other. But the alignments, you could pick everyone else in the world that they meet. They can choose to be whatever they want. They have the freedom to do that. The only limitation that I made in my campaign for the characters in the Light, they will be as tight like brothers and sisters. They will not backstab each other, because they're orphans. They grew up together. There's got to be a really good reason why you're going to backstab your own brother and sister. So, and if you do, there are consequences. I am not for all railroading everything. I'm not saying that they could not do that. But what I'm saying is there's going to be consequences, because you grew up together, you were going through a horrific event, something happened, now all of a sudden, these events led to one thing to another, and now you're going to go backstab them. That's where you have to communicate to your players. The only way you're going to battle each other, fight each other, is to bring that player, that character back and say, brother, sister, I love you. I don't want you to go beyond our trust and love. So that's how it's done. Not, I'm going to go ahead and backstab him because it's cool. I had this on Facebook. I belong to this one forum, and one of the guys in there, they were talking about, well, what happens if one of the guys in the party, the group, decide he was DMing for the first time. You know, he had a very big group, and the guy on Facebook, he was saying, well, what if if these guys were, if the players were going off on their own tangents and they did this and they murdered everybody in the town and they went off and did their own thing. He had a story structure, but they went off and did their own thing. Consequences. Talk to your players, talk to everyone in session 0 and say, look, if you're going to go ahead and do all these things, and my world is free to do what you want in the campaign. But if you do, there are consequences. You're not going to just go ahead and murder everybody. That doesn't work. Not in my campaign. So, and this guy, this gentleman on Facebook and social media was saying, well, I'm a new DM. I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, all the players are doing this and that. How do I control that? Very simple. It's like I mentioned, the first topic, your role. In session 0, gotta have that. No murder hobos. None. If you do, you let it happen, that's your fault. That's why you have a session 0. So you could not control the game, but to tell your players, hey, look, we're going to have this communication, and then we're going to talk about what is good and what's bad in the campaign and what you could do and not do. So let's go to topic number 2. How do you handle character deaths? And this is connected to your roles. Because if that player chooses to be a fighter and they're not comfortable being a fighter, they're going to die. And they're going to be pretty pissed off if they made it to level 4 and then they die because they made a stupid decision. Or maybe as a DM, you decided to, well, a creature's there, you're prone, and the creature attacked them again. Is that right? No. But in combat, if you're fighting a creature, the creature is not going to be, hold on, I'm not going to hit you if you're in the ground. You're still squiggling and moving. You might hurt me. So as a creature, I'm going to attack you. If you're prone on the ground and you're right, and I happen to be there, and I'm a creature, you're done. It's just the way it is. If a pit bull grabs your arm and bites you, and you're bleeding, and you're trying to move, and you're on the ground, hurt, and you're trying to move away, and you fall, you think that dog is going to be like, hold on, mister, let me wait for you to get up. Get up, and then leave, and then I'll try to follow you. No, that dog is going to bite you. Just remember, how do you handle character death? So if that creature happens to be next to you and he hits you and you fall, that is your fault. It's your fault. Simple as pie. There is no way you're going to stand there and just say, Henry, why did you one-shot me? Well, the creature was right there. You didn't do anything. You just sat. Oh, I fell. I missed my saving throw. You did. You were prone. The creature, you're prone on the ground. The creature has 1 attack left. Ugh, you're dead. Those are the things you have to think about, especially in any game. How do you handle death? Well, it's a very good topic because death Nobody likes to die. And I think in 5e, D&D 5e, the thing that they do is they have these classes that are OP after 7th level. You're OP, and then you have high hit points and all this magic and weapons and items and stuff, and you don't want to die. Well, I wouldn't want to die either. If you're that level, high that level, if you're level 10, level 7 and up, whatever, you don't want to die. But if you do, have another character handy. If you have another character, at least you can say, hey, I'm good. We can continue the game. Now, what level would you want to start at? It wouldn't be fair to other players if the player number 2 died, then he comes back at the same level as the other players. That's why you have to discuss it. Just like the other topic, what roles you want to play. You discuss everything in session 0 and say, look, if your character dies, do we start off at the same level or do you go back a couple? Those are the things you have to talk about. Really talk about. Because if you are, let's say, level 10, and let's say 3 out of your 9 players or 8 players, 3 players die, what level do you start them out at? The same level? Or do you go back down, you go down 3 levels or 4 levels? It's up to you. You have your communication with the DM and you go from there. Because if you don't, then there's a really big problem. It can slow down the campaign. It can ruin a lot of things. But if they start out 3 levels back and everybody agrees, that player can meet the party later on or the next scene or whatnot, or the next turn of your dungeon. That's very cool. Character death is something we all have to deal with in all your campaigns. Because if your player dies, if that character dies, then there's, oh my God, I'm mad. Well, they die. They die, and that's just it. No matter what you do, what happens in a role-playing game, and especially Dungeons and Dragons, if whatever RPG you're playing, if the character dies, they die. And the main thing is, if you have another character handy, you could go ahead and continue the game without disrupting the flow, because the flow of the game is going, and if you disrupt the flow, it'll do a lot of damage to your campaign. For all your DMs out there, just remember that the flow is. Hang on a second. I want to make sure that nothing's wrong with my computer. Smell something burning, but it's not my computer. Thank God. Anyways, the flow is the major thing of your game. It's the core of your game, the flow. It's what makes it go. So if someone dies in your party and that person has another character, the player is happy. He has another character too, and he will meet the party later on in the story. Now, how do you fix that? How do you put that in? Depending on the situation. If there's a huge combat scenario and there's a lot of creatures and you're having a big fight, sword fight, and your character is down, that player has another character handy, he could put him in after that combat scenario. So the party moves on, they traverse in one section of the realm, and they meet that other character. And that's how you continue the flow in your game. You don't just say, oh, I pop him in, he just appeared. No. Move him along to the next sequence of the story. That's what I would do. I wouldn't just say teleport them in or pop them in or whatnot. Just move along and see what's going on. Now, what do you do in your game if you have more than one multiple death? Simple. Just like I said, your other characters, your other character sheets, your other characters that you have. If you want to make one extra character, different character, fine. Now, does that change the aspect of your story? If you have a story that's meant, like for example, the Light, the Orphans, they're meant to go a certain way and do this and that, yada, 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 whatever. How do you deal with if they get slaughtered, the whole party? Let's say the whole party gets slaughtered and they meet this creature and they get slaughtered. What do you do then? Of course, that would change dramatically. Now you have different characters in this story. But the good thing is, which leads to my other topic, improvisation. Improvise. See how every topic just leads to another. We talked about topic one, we talked about what role do your players have in the game? How do they see the world? How do they fit in your world? Two, how do they handle character death? Someone dies, how do you do that? What do you do? How do you do it? They die? Well, what do I do next? Number two, you have an extra character. You decide, topic number one, the role is I'm playing a fighter. My fighter died. I have another character that's a wizard. I'm good to go. And third topic, improvise. Everything is connected. Improvisation is the key to DMing. You can write a story. Paragraph one, the party is going downhill. In a meadow, ahead, there's trees. It's dark. It's night. The party traverses to that location. And all of a sudden, there's a tribe of trolls headed towards you. What do? The party attacks, or the trolls attack the party, and all of a sudden, a party of 9, 5 of them out of the 9 die in that attack. What do you do now? They have, like I mentioned in one of my other topics earlier, they have an extra character. And I advise you, if you're playing a game, make two characters. You have 2 characters, you can play the game, and then you'll have an understanding on how to play the game better. Because if you have 2 characters, you can say, oh, my character died, I can throw out this character, this other character, and you'll meet them somewhere in the game. But you disrupt the flow of the game, and, it happens. Don't disrupt the flow of the game. And as DM, the hardest thing to do is if you have a player just sitting there and going like this when they're not part of the game. They're just sitting there waiting to do something because they died. But this topic, I'm talking about the art of improvisation. When you improvise in a scenario, and as a DM, your character died, and let's say your second character, from afar, you were a fighter, but you're playing a wizard. You see in the far corner this guy by a tree with a wizard hat and a cloak down. He looks at the party and he wants to help with the trolls attacking. So he uses magic. So now that character joins the party because he helped that combat scenario. Your second character is helping. And you improvise. As a DM, you improvise. You brought that character in immediately or the next scene. Don't ever have a person just sit there. If there's an emotional scene, if there's role playing and something happens, that's different. But don't have them just sit there in boredom. Improvise. Try to bring them in the game. And if the character one dies, bring that next character in as quickly as possible. And a DM, you improvise. Improvisation is the key to DMing, because you could have everything written from A to Z, and the players will go off all over. And what you do as a DM is you sit, and here comes my cat. Here comes my cat. She's going to cause havoc right now. She's going to jump on my lap or mess with my mic or whatever. She does it all the time. I have to put her in the laundry room. So you have to improvise. Improvisation is the key, because if you don't improvise in the game, it's going to fall apart. Simple. The main key here is that link. Like I said before, topic 1. How do your players, what role do they have in your game? Pick their class, their subclass, later on at level 3, depending on what character they're playing, what class they're playing, and go from there. 2, if they die, what happens next? Grab a character, have an extra character, bring them in as quickly as possible. And 3, the next topic, the art of improvisation. Bring them in. Bring them in. As quickly as possible, improvise as a DM, because it's not written in the story. It's not part of the story. It's the character died. You have 8 players, 9 players. You have 4 players or even 3 players, and 2 died. They have extra characters. They brought them in, continued the story. Should that happen in a game? Look, I've rolled up characters that are horrible, where the DM tells me, Henry, roll your abilities. Strength, go to the next one. Dexterity, Constitution, Charisma, whatever. Roll each one. Don't pick and choose what stat you want where. Roll. Hey, that's the DM. And you know what? That's the game. It's fun. And if my character dies, I'll have another one on my phone, or digital, or on paper. I prefer paper. But digital does help. It's quicker, and boom. So that's how you do it. And as a player, it's frustrating when the character dies and now you're sitting like this. What do I do next? What do I do next, Henry? Oh, wait, I know what to do. I want you to sit there for an hour and a half and wait until the scene comes up, until they go to the town. But the group doesn't know. They have to traverse beyond the forest, beyond the lake, into a town. And you know, the more travel you do, the longer the scenes are. So that those players or player is going to sit there like this. You don't want to do that. Sometimes it does happen, though. You do not have control. But if a character does die, my advice to you from DM to DM or GM, referee, storyteller, whatever you're running, do it as quickly as possible. Bring them in as quickly as possible. You don't want them to be bored. Boredom is the thorn of all role-playing. Now, can role-playing, if you don't improvise, destroy the scene? How can role-playing destroy the scene? Very simple. Your player is bored, the others are having a great time. A player starts going on his phone. Gets up, walks away. Comes back, sits down on the phone, doodles, looks down. It does happen. Look, when you have a large party, you have 9 players, 8 players. I average between that much. And, scenes are going to take longer as you go around. But if you don't bring that player in or improvise the scenario and don't rely 100% on your story, because the players are going to go off on every direction. What do I mean by that? Here's another scenario. Okay, remember I said the player we just had he died. He's waiting to come in. He just died now. There's 4 trolls. The trolls were taken out. A party of 5 that took out the trolls barely, but they have to get to town. They got to go through the forest, and then they know there's a lake according to their map. 3-4 miles down, there's a town. So they do that. An hour later, they go to town. They see the player. Meanwhile, that player is doing this. That's not good. You want to keep everybody engaged. And how you do it, you can do this. So if that player, and this is what I mean by improvising, is not there, he's in town, tell everyone, scene fades, you go in town. This mage is sitting in the tavern. Okay, Elijah, what are you doing? Elijah grabs his hat, takes off his hat, puts the hat on the bar. He orders a drink. The corner of his eye, he sees his gnarly individual walk his way. 3 of them. The mage is a little nervous. He doesn't want any trouble. He pays for his drink. He grabs his hat and leaves. As he leaves, the individuals try to follow and tell your story. Was that part completely in your game? No, I just threw that right now. I didn't write anything. That's it. Improvise. It's that easy. Don't let a player get bored. Because if they do, it's your fault as a DM, referee, whatever. It is your fault because you are the trees, the NPCs they meet. You are everything that encompasses your realm, your world, your city, your tavern, your dungeon. And if you don't bring that imagination, bring that fantasy aspect into your table, it's going to fall apart. Simple. Improvisation is the core of all role-playing. And I dare somebody in the comments or anyone to tell me, no, Henry, you're wrong. No, you can write one hell of a story. You could be a Hemingway of writing. You could be Stephen King. And the players in a scenario will trample over your story. Why? Because you didn't improvise. The worst thing you could have is a character bored as hell because they're not playing. They're waiting for you to get to them. Instead of saying scene fades, go to that player, role play, come back to the players, go back to them until they meet up. Or have that player be in the forest. He's running away from more trolls. Simple as pie. It's that simple. It's an art. It takes time. An inexperienced DM is not going to improvise as well. A source book is not going to have that in there. Period. I don't care what source book you read. Nope. I don't care what adventure you read. It's going to tell you this. Hey, this slot right here. The adventurers has to do this. The adventurers have this. The adventurers do this. But what if they go beyond that? Not everybody that writes these books is going to go in the minds of every player. No, they're not. I'm not going to mention the source books, the adventure game. But I will tell you that one of them, they dealt with a big bad, and the big bad was, wasn't in the story till the very end, and it was kind of like an end of the world scenario, and the players met other big bads. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to say what it is, but I will tell you that it was written badly. It was all over the place. And now the choices of the players were controlled. They had to go this way. When you do that in your game, it's completely wrong. Don't take choices away from your players. Period. And improvising can help. 100%. I am uncomfortable tonight. I'm sorry. I'm moving around and doing all this. I'm a little uncomfortable, so I'm sorry. I don't know why. I just am. But either way, I was saying improvising is it. It's the core of role-playing. There's no way. If you have written the players are going to go to the castle, and the players don't want to go to the castle. They want to chill out in a tavern. They want to stay at the inn. They want to stay in the town, but they have 24 hours to get to the castle. Bring them in. How do you bring them there? When you improvise, that's what I mean. An inexperienced DM won't know how to do that. So they're in a tavern, they're drinking, having a good time. They don't want to go to the castle. They want to stay in the town. But all of a sudden, the doors blast open and you see this female elf. Help me, there's somebody attacking me. They're attacking my family. They're entering the town right now. There's like 10 of them. So now you're bringing in the horror. You're bringing in the adventurer. You're bringing in danger right at their feet where they have to make a choice. And if they still won't do it, have an explosion happen. Something big. Look, it's not difficult. Bring them in your game. Give them the adventure that they want. The epic fantasy. If they want to be in a tavern and drink, no one, I'm not saying they can't do that. But if there's an adventure waiting in the castle, and then something happens to bring them into that castle, bring that terror in town. See, in my games, the big bad is not going to wait for the players to get to him. The big bad has its plans. Plan A, I want to destroy this town. Plan B, I'm going to move another part of the realm. And plan C, I'm going to hunker down in this domain that I have. So between plan A and plan B, if the players are not there, so what? Oops. Oh shit. What do you do now? That's their fault, not mine. The big bad is going to move on. I'm not going to be there. Hey guys, wait for me. And I've said this before. I'm not going to have my villain say, I'm here, attack me, let's have a good game. No, it's not going to happen that way. So how do you deal with that? As a fresh DM, what you have to do is take a deep breath, calm down. If they're going in another direction, bring that story to them. You're not railroading. You're not, trust me. If you know they have to save a damsel in distress by a castle, bring that distress to them. See, here's my cat. Yeah. Here you go. Here's my hellion. Hang on one second. You're going to hear me. I want to keep talking, but I want to bring her to the laundry room because she's a pain in the butt. You're going to stay right here, cat. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I didn't leave anywhere. I just, my cat was on my lap, and, you know, I would, but she would jump all over all my equipment, and I don't want that. I don't want her to ruin my equipment. Either way, I'm back. So, I was saying, improvise. Improvisation is the core of role-playing, and if you can't improvise, then there's a problem. So, if that party doesn't want to go to the castle to save the damsel in distress, bring that distress to them. Bring the danger to them. Make them feel that, hey, there's a unique danger here. We need to go help her. Or something. Do something. Bring the hooks to them. Let them see the danger ahead of them. Don't just wait and say, wait a second. Hey. I'm messed up now. You guys are going to have to wait in town and then go to the castle. Wait for them to do their shenanigans and then wait for the castle. No. Move. Let it go. Bring the adventure. Don't make it. Role-playing is great. Don't get me wrong. Role-playing is awesome. If they want to role-play and go to the inn and go to the tavern, there's nothing wrong with that. Go to the tavern, have an ale, have a great time, sing, dance. But then the door to the tavern exploded. Something happened. There's a commotion out there. Improvise. Not everything is going to be scripted. Not everything is going to be in your writing. Oh, wait. On this paper, it says they went outside of town to find the tribe, the orc tribe that attacked this 5 humans of the town that happened to be part of the government in that town. But they needed you guys, they needed the party to help them with the tribe to get them out. But you didn't get to that part yet, right? Oops. The players are going to do what they want, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the fun of role-playing. It's a free world. They can do what they want and go here and there, but have structure and improvise. If you don't improvise, it'll be the end of your campaign or story. Hey, it happens to all DMs. It happens to experienced DMs. It happens to new DMs. We all have brain farts. We get tired. We all have our minds. Sometimes we're not in the game. It happens. But don't worry. Mistakes happen. But when you're on your game, improvise. It's a lot of fun, trust me. Oh, wait, there's an orc tribe outside the town, and we're drinking. We're going to continue to drink. Oh, the door blows up. They go in, there's 3 orcs there, initiative. Wow, you just changed the whole dynamic, didn't you? That wasn't part of the story. Oh well. Now the tribe is coming to you. You don't want to do anything? Sit right there. Sit right there and then hunker down and do nothing. Players do that. Unfortunately, when I went on a Facebook forum, a D&D forum, and they were talking about, this new DM was talking about his players going off on tangents and murder. They were murder hoboing. They were doing so many things. They didn't even hit part of the plot points in his story. And it was really, really, it was sad. And it wasn't the DM's fault. It was the fact that as players and the DM, you're all friends. Everybody in that table are your friends. And if they're just strangers, and if you're at a con and you're DMing and they do all that, nope. Before you start the game, you do a quick session 0. You do a quick what not to do, what you're about, what kind of DM you are, because if not, boom, you're gonna be destroyed. That's just the way it is. In your games, if you don't communicate with your players, it's gonna fall apart. And as DM, you have to improvise. Not everything is written. You could be the best DM in the world, and if the players, I'm telling you, the players do shenanigans that are incredible, that you have scripted. Door number 3 has special items, has this incredible sword. When you draw the sword, the moon comes up. Whatever special item you have behind that door. And then all of a sudden the players go, nope, we're going to go to door number 1. Then what do? Improvise. They go to door number 1, and all of a sudden they open the door and they see this lake, and they see this trees and magical items all over. Wow, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. What do? You improvise. Do the best improvisation you can. Because if you don't, there's going to be a problem. You're going to have a player. You're going to have a player on your phone. You're going to have a player writing. You're going to have a player looking up like this. You're going to have a player not interested in the game at all. Whether you're at a con or you're in your game at home, that player is going to become bored. Bring them in your story. The last topic I have tonight: politics in the game. Should you do it? Should you not do it? Now, what I mean with politics, there's 2 different types of politics. One, in-game politics, which is what I use. That is great. In-game politics. Last but not least, this is a topic I wanted to talk about, and it's going to be a hot topic. It's a hot topic for me because I read this subject matter in a D&D forum on Facebook. And the guy that was the administrator to that forum kicked out 45 plus people because of political beliefs. I don't care what belief you have politics-wise. Do not bring real-world politics into the game, because Dungeons and Dragons transcends that. It does. Now, if you want to make an evil governor, you can. If you want to make an evil wizard that believes in a whole bunch of slaves, you can. But before you do stuff like that, make sure you have a session 0. Communicate with your players, or especially if you don't know people that you're and they don't know what type of DM you are, let them know. Communication is the key. Number one. Two, you sit down and you tell your group, hey, look, this is what I'm coming from. I'm doing a political intrigue in this game, but I'm not using real world politics and bringing to my game. Did I agree with the guy on Facebook? Did I agree with him taking out 45 plus, kicking out 45 people? No, I didn't agree with him. I don't care what political side you're from. This is Dungeons and Dragons. We're talking about dragons, creatures, combat, all that stuff. That's cool. Why the hell do you need to talk about politics? Dungeons and Dragons transcends real life politics. It's a big issue with me. Don't bring it in your games. If you want to have a fictitious political individual, fine. But don't bring real life politics. But you're going to have somebody say, "Oh, that individual leans right or left." Doesn't matter. Don't bring real life situations that is political in your games, because it can ruin friendships, it can ruin your game, and it can ruin what Dungeons and Dragons is about. Period. That's my opinion. Period. That's my opinion. Plain and simple. There is no room for real world politics in your game. Oh, but you have themes. There's nothing wrong with themes, but you're not bringing the two political figures right now that are going head to head for president and bringing them in to your campaign, or bringing those structures in your game. You shouldn't do that. That's not what Dungeons and Dragons is about. If you want to have, like I said, an evil governor, and that governor doesn't like certain people, certain races in the game, or that governor is doing something evil, keeping a town, a utopian society, fine. Do that. Or if you have this D&D forum, and just because the people that are in that forum believe something differently than you do, and you kick them out, that's your fault as the administrator for kicking them out. Why? Because as an administrator, you have a set of rules. No politics. That's it. No language, no sexual, no racism, all that type of stuff you have in your game, in your forum, in your chat group, in your Discord. Put it up. If somebody's being racist, kick them out. If somebody's being political and they read everything and you said no politics, kick them out, regardless of who they are. But don't say, oh, fuck the right, fuck the left. Don't say that. That is bullshit. You're being petty. Because you didn't state as an administrator what you wanted. And now it's free reign. It's free for all. Well, if it's free for all, now you have to control everyone. Hey guys, don't fight. As a moderator, as an administrator, you have to control that. On my Discord, and I did it for the first time, I opened up the chat. Anybody could jump in. It was my fault. I didn't have the set of rules, and a bunch of people were in there, and they said a lot of racial shit. And one of the guys, one of my good friends, two of my good friends, they're black. And they said a lot of bad things. And we kicked them out. And then I created a big thing, no racism, no sexual thing, everything. I put the set of rules in there so people can see it, because people can be assholes. They can. And you don't want that in your game, and you don't want that in your chat, and you don't want that in your forum. I love Dungeons and Dragons in different forums. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about different situations. But don't kick people out and say, well, I'm going to kick you out because I don't like your political side. You're coming at me pretty hard, but then you don't have any structure. It was bad for me when I did that Discord and I didn't have that structure. I deserved it. Were those people right? No. They were horrible in what they said. And I felt horrible for my good friend Dom and Brandon. That's bullshit. What you should do is have a list and say no racism, no sexual content, no politics. And that's our theme tonight. Our last topic is politics in your game. Don't have that. Period. Because people get mad at each other. People can't control their emotion. And they get mad and they say things they don't want to say. Because we're all people. But when you have this free-for-all, don't get mad. At first, I was a little perturbed about it. But then I created this list. We pinned it. They all know it. You go on Discord, Easy Zone with a capital E. You'll find it. I'll friend you. Boom. You want to listen to the guys? You want to see what's going on? Fine. But you're not going to bring in politics. You're not going to bring up racism. You're not going to bring any of that shit because it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out, and it's not going to be tolerated. And I felt bad for the guys that he kicked out. The 45 plus people that this guy kicked out on Facebook. It was from the opposing political belief, but it was his fault because he didn't have all this shit on there. But then he says he does. Oh, I had it on there. No, you didn't. You allowed it. If the 45 people that he kicked would have started and you would have said, hey, guys, I'm giving you a warning, no politics, then they would have said nothing. But because of their opposing beliefs, he kicked out not one, 45, which means not all 45 of them were commenting, which means he went on each and every one of those people's, Facebook, and checked out each one. That's horrible. So what did I do? I left the group. Because I don't want that toxic. I don't want that toxicity. I don't want any of that. Like I said, Dungeons and Dragons transcends all that stuff. It really does. The game is the game. Man, I'm a geek. I love geeks. And geeks come in any color. Geeks are here to play the game. And that's what it's about. Playing the game. Don't sit here and tell me that, oh, Henry, this is going to happen this way because of your belief or what his or she's belief is. No. Don't bring that in. Don't you dare. Because I will have it posted, and I've said it. No politics in the game. That's why it's so important to have a session zero. Session zero, you convey who you are as a DM to everyone else. Session zero is so important that if you don't convey that, and let's say you have a scene that happens to have slaves, and one person is not comfortable, two is not comfortable in that party, guess what? You just fucked up as a DM because you didn't convey that. If you tell people it's an explicit game, there's going to be slavery, there's going to be in-game politics, but not using real world, like I said, the real world politics of the two individuals that are head to head right now, you're not going to use. Be as open as you can be to your players, because if you don't have that, if you are not open and confident enough to convey what you want in your game, in your campaign, one shot or whatnot, there's going to be hell to pay. And the number one thing in playing a game is to have fun. And then nobody's having fun because all this crap is coming in your game. Man, I don't want to be there. Period. I don't want to be there. This is a very deep topic for me because I know this is the political season right now, and there's people pulling left and right. Their emotions are all over the place, and it should not be that way. Role-playing is an escape from the real world. It's an escape. You're here to imagine yourself in a fantasy setting, not a right or a left setting. And for those of you who know politics, you know what I'm talking about. No, it's not that. You're riding a dragon. You're dungeon crawling in the catacombs. You're meeting drows. You're meeting trolls. You're meeting gnomes. You're meeting these other creatures. You're encountering all these things. You're not playing a political game. No. The exception of that rule is if you're playing a different type of role-playing game that allows that. But again, session zero, and any role-playing game that you play, you discuss with your players, and especially if you don't know people. Hey, look, I have a party of 12 people. An explicit DM. I have slavery in my games. I have a lot of explicit situations, a lot of political innuendos, but I do not use real world politics. I use the world of Dungeons and Dragons politics. This is high fantasy, an epic kick-ass fantasy. There you go. The players are either going to agree or disagree. They're going to say, oh, cool. They're going to say, oh, really? What type of slavery? What type of politics? Oh, they're just in game. You know, nothing to do with the real world. What type of slavery? Oh, there might be, big bads or bad guys that have slaves in the game. Explicit. You're going to describe the situation. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, I won't have it. That's what you do. Because if you don't, it'll ruin a game in every way. It'll ruin it. And having fun is the number one thing. If you don't have fun in the game, if you bring these you bring these themes in and you're not open with your players, you might as well just throw out what you have written, because those people, no matter what you say or what you do, they're going to get pissed. Either they're going to get up and walk out of your table, or when the game's over, they're not going to come back and they're not going to be very happy. So if you have 8 players in your game and 4 of them are unhappy because you did not convey what you wanted in session 0, or what was good and what was bad, and they know what they're getting, and you didn't convey that, it's going to ruin the campaign, one shot, whatever, and those people are going to leave unhappy. And you don't want people to leave unhappy. You want them to have fun. You want them to say, man, it was a great game. Now, we could talk game mechanics. We could talk creatures. We could talk encounters. We could talk all that stuff. That's Dungeons and Dragons, but don't bring in politics. Man, if you really want to fuck shit up, bring that up. You don't want to do that. I don't care if you're an experienced DM or an experienced streamer that knows the ins and outs, and you want to be tricky and slide some political innuendo or slide someone in there to make fun of that person or persons. You don't do that, because it's no longer fantasy anymore. It's no longer a game. You're bringing your political innuendos in the game. You're bringing your political beliefs in the game. And it's wrong. It really is. If you lean right and you have your political themes in the game, and you even said you were going to do that, political bad guys and stuff, and the players start noticing that this big bad is corrupt, but he tends to kill the people from the left, you know, you slide that stuff in there, that's wrong. It happens. People have to realize that when you bring real world politics in the game, it ruins it. Now you're going to say, Henry, there are themes that you could use in your story. Yeah. The corrupt governor. He has slaves. And he's going to kill the slaves, kill everybody, not just the slaves, because he's corrupt. What does he have? He has bags of gold, bags of silver, whatever. He's stealing from the town, taking 30% of their income. Well, when they go to buy weapons, the party notices that sword is triple as the next town. Inflation. You know, it is what it is. But don't do that. Don't bring political innuendos and real life politics in your game, because they're going to ruin it. They're going to ruin it. Just remember, guys, role playing is role playing. If you're playing an OSR, play the OSR to the best of your ability. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, play it to the best of your ability. Or if you're a DM, DM to the best of your ability. Run a story. It is fantasy. That's what it's about. They want to see dragons. They want to see trolls. They want to see orcs and elves. They want a dungeon crawl. They want high adventure. That's what they want. That's what I want. I love DMing. I love playing too. And you know what? When you sit here and bring real life politics in a game, it's no longer high adventure. It's no longer killing trolls, orcs, humans, whatever. It's no longer anything like that, fantasy-wise, dragons. It's destroying what Dungeons and Dragons is. When I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, I didn't have all the digital stuff that we have now. I was pen and paper. I didn't have the nifty DM screen. I had to make one, or had a book on my lap. I had to make a roll, behind something. I didn't have all the technology, and I think nowadays, because we are connected to the world online, we forget about the simple things. And what makes role playing so good, you walk in to someone's house, you smile, you bring the chips, you bring the pop or the soda, depending on if you're from Chicago or not. I originally am from Chicago, so I'm going to say pop. So you walk in and you have the table. You talk to the guys before the game, and this is how it was when I was a kid. You sit down at the table, you have your paper, you have your dice bag, you sit down and you wait for the DM to tell the story. And the amazing thing is the smile on your face, because your friends are having fun. It doesn't matter what race they are. It doesn't matter if they're female or male. It doesn't matter who they are. You're having a great time playing the game. You roll the dice. You're adventuring together. Dungeons and Dragons, to me, is adventuring together. That's what it's about. It encompasses everyone. And that's what D&D is about. That's what every role-playing is about. Cyberpunk, Vampire the Masquerade, Mordsboard. Probably, I said it completely wrong, but it is, Shadow Dark, whatever, different OSRs, Robotech, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel Universe, whatever role-playing game you decide to get into this weekend or whatever, just remember, guys, it's all about us. We're the geeks, man. We're the people behind that table. We're the people that sit down and roll dice. The dice tells the story. You want to punch the enemy, the encounter. You want to punch the dragon, or use your sword to take out the dragon. Use the magic. You work as a team in your party. Just remember, it's role playing. And the main thing is fun. That's all I have for you tonight. And I hope that you enjoyed DM Talk and Creatures of the Realm, because I love doing this. I really love doing this. And I hope that you subscribe and like and continue watching. I love you all, and I will see you guys next Friday. DM Talk, Creatures of the Realm, and then on Saturday, Drow City Part 6, Episode 6, August 17th, 8 p.m. Central. Stay with us. Everybody on Twitch, get the word out. Everybody on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, get the word out. Let us know about let everybody know about Playerole. Show them love, show us love. Let everybody know, because, we have some great content coming up, and, I love to entertain. I love to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I love to talk about role-playing games. I love to talk about this. This is what I love to do. And if you do, subscribe, let everybody know, because, I'm a big geek just like you are, and there's a lot of people that love to do this, and so do I. So subscribe. I have a lot of good stuff coming up, and I will see you next week. Take care.